Hello and welcome back to another episode of the MindSets podcast. Episode 67, Charles. Give me a thought on that.
We're getting through them, aren't we?
That's actually factually correct, yes. So, big news this week. We are the champions.
We are.
And I said it in the last episode, and I think it's finally time to decide that we cut funding from
all men's sports.
Men's sports in the UK, because everything should be going to the women.
Yeah.
England women's rugby.
Amazing.
Bring it home.
Yeah.
What a win.
I think they're now 33 games on the trot unbeaten. It's almost like it's just expected. You watch it and you're like, well, this is boring because they're going to win.
Do you know what sucks about that? I once played for a team that was 33-0 like in an undefeated streak, and I hated it because all that you can do is lose.
Yeah.
And we lost. We I think we either lost, so we were 33-1, or we went 34-1. It was around there. It was horrible because the whole thing had just been like winning for years, and then it sucked.
Well, I'm glad for them that they went for 33, because if it had been 32 games streak winning and then they lost the World Cup final,
that would have been true, actually. Yeah, fair enough.
But they were like head
They're
and
fine to
shoulders.
lose now.
Yeah, head and shoulders the best team.
I would almost deliberately lose the next one because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But so well done to England women's rugby and anyone else that partakes in the women's side of rugby, because you are growing the game. The next one was another big win. We managed to stumble our way to a victory in the Ryder Cup. 15-13 was the final score.
Yeah.
There was a lot of controversy with this one.
There was. And again, we I don't know why, but we always managed to come back to golf on the podcast at some point.
Considering neither of us are very good at golf.
Terrible. Nah, come on, give me some credit.
I've shot 8 over a couple of times before. I had a round last year where I went 6 under through 8 holes.
Really?
Yeah, fucked it up at the end. But it was all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was actually some of the best golf that I've watched on TV, and I've been watching golf for many, many years. So if you haven't watched any of the highlights, go and watch the highlights on YouTube, because watching the majority of it's pretty boring, but the highlights and some of like you say, the controversy behind the fans shouting and chanting at some of the Europe players was pretty good to watch.
Literally in their backswing as well.
Oh yeah.
Like we don't condone that.
Oh, there's so many good moments, but like Justin Rose was my favorite from the weekend, and there were like 2 moments that were like truly goated. I don't know if you've seen, like, you know, when Tiger Woods putts and he knows it's going in and he follows the ball with his putter. There was one huge putt for Justin Rose, and he knocks it and it's like rolling. It looks so wide, and then it breaks last minute, but he's already walking. He's so confident, and he's like almost beats the ball to the hole, and it's like, I don't know, a 15-foot putt. Like, it was wild. And then he started he was on the green, and I think it was either DeChambeau or DeChambeau's caddy were just like slowly creeping into his eye line when he's trying to read the putt. And he has a go, and he shouts at them. He's like, just get out of the way, basically. And it's all, you can feel the tension even just watching it through the TV. And then he just drains this putt and just stares straight at both of them. The crowd's going wild, and it's so cold. It's so sick. Honestly, there's so many good moments.
I think that's the thing that's so good about the Ryder Cup. Obviously, there's not too many. In fact, there's really not many times in professional golf where there is like team.
Yeah.
And so,
or like a crowd that goes wild.
Yeah. And especially when it was so close, like everyone, the atmosphere's higher. Obviously, this time it was in the US. A lot of people as well, the comment warriors across social media, saying it takes a whole continent to beat the US. Now, interesting fact on that: the US has more PGA registered players than the entirety of Europe. So suck on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, wicked. And like Charles said, go back and watch some of the highlights. Coming up on my feed daily, and it was brilliant.
There's so many good moments. Yeah, for sure.
Well, today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. But this is kind of all still in the lead up to the event we're hosting this weekend, if you're listening prior to the 12th of October.
That made me nervous.
No, it's not this week.
Is it?
For those that are listening to this was recorded the week before. But we have got the ROXD sim. So it's a full Hyrox sim, full runs, real sleds, and everything in between. So if you are tempted by that and you're thinking that you're going to get FOMO, you will get FOMO. The link will be in the description for tickets. So definitely go and check it out. But because we want to make sure that you guys use the sim properly and learn from it, what we've decided to do is do a few things in terms of discussion points about pre-race fueling, how to get ready for your race in terms of warm-up, and then also a little bit of a discussion topic about when you're actually racing. So the first thing is pre-race fueling. Now, you shouldn't ever do anything on race day that you haven't done before. This is a prime example of a not real race day where you can practice. So like if you haven't done fueling before and you want to give it a go, this is a great way to figure out if something does or does not work for your body. Have you got any random tips? Because I've got some science to follow up for some people, but I want to know from your perspective with races.
I wasn't going to go random. And again, I don't want to give unsolicited nutrition advice.
We're going to.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the big one for me is kind of the timing around your fueling strategy and figuring out when in the day your race is going to be. So for example, it's going to be similar for our sim to what you're going to experience on race day, because we're going to give you a certain heat time. And then you just have to work backwards from your heat time to make sure you've got enough time to fuel and eat the stuff that you need to eat before you race. The beauty of this, I assume you'll be staying at home, so everything will be like normal. If you're traveling for a Hyrox race, that might not necessarily be the case, especially if you're in a foreign country where you don't have access to the foods that you normally eat before racing or training. So yeah, using your heat times kind of work backwards and make sure you have enough fuel pre-race, essentially.
Yeah, we've already spoken a bit about tapering in one of our first episodes where we became this doubles format, which I think was like episode 50 or 51, something around then. We spoke about tapering and how you should be doing that. Again, for a sim, you don't necessarily need to do that unless you really wanted to make it a complete simulation of how a whole week might feel. But you want to be continuing to do your workouts in the lead up. As you said, though, with the timing of it, you do want to prime your body. We're not going to have anybody starting at brain time 7 a.m.
Yeah.
When you go to some of these abroad races, you might be in the first wave at 8 a.m. and if
you're having to get up early to eat,
so you want to get your body ready to be able to get up and get food in, and then go and do a warm up at a time in the morning that is reasonable to your body. If you're used to training at 11 p.m. and then your Hyrox race is supposedly 7 a.m. brain time, then it's not going to be as easy to do. So other things that get talked about a lot are things like carb loading.
Yep.
Now, there's a bit of controversy between all levels, including the elites, about whether or not Hyrox is something that you should carb load for anyway. I don't know if you've got any opinions on that.
I don't think you need to carb load.
I would completely agree.
Yeah. The reason, I mean, you need to be eating carbs to fuel your performance, but when the event is not going to be longer than 90 minutes for a lot of people, especially at the top where, you know, carb loading is probably even more beneficial for like performance at the very, very top. The top athletes are going through in like sub an hour. You don't need to carb load for probably anything that's shorter than 90 minutes. So yeah, I wouldn't waste your time or effort necessarily on just trying to cram a load of carbs in, and you end up doing it probably incorrectly, getting to the race and just feeling full and bloated and fluffy and not really raring to go. So yeah, I don't think it's probably necessary. I think you're going to come at me with the science.
Well, I was basically going to mention, if you were doing carb loading, and let's talk more generally then. So let's say you're doing something like a marathon or a slightly longer race, which as you've said is beyond that sort of 90-minute mark. You would typically want to start from 2 to 3 days out. Some start a little bit earlier to make it easier to get used to taking on that much carb. But you want to be having between 7 to 10 grams per kilogram per day. So I'll let you guys at home do the maths. I'm not going to take all of your body weight, so I'm not going to ask that question before you work it out, but that's kind of the scale you want to be at. And the other thing that is important when it comes to saying you probably don't need to do it for Hyrox is that much carb is quite high in volume. And so if you are eating that and then you're trying to go into a high intensity workout, which includes a lot of functional movement, a lot of sort of, I mean, you're throwing your body on the floor, you're jumping, doing
that's a lot of inertia.
That whole thing can really upset your stomach, your general gastrointestinal system. So yeah, that's a big thing, is you don't necessarily need to carb load for Hyrox training, but if you are going to do it, 7 to 10 grams, 2 to 3 days out per kilogram, 10 to 10.
I think for most people, when you're carb loading, that's going to be specific probably to marathon running, or like you say, like a longer endurance workout, maybe an Ironman or a half Ironman, where the duration is closer to like 3 to 5 for an Ironman, then it's like 7 to 10 hours, maybe a little bit longer. So that's super important. I would probably suggest starting your carb load earlier than 2 to 3 days. You're looking probably the whole week leading up to it, just so, like you say, you can start to get used to the volume of food and your body can start to process that and store the glycogen so you are ready to race when it comes around to it.
Yeah, and carb loading is definitely not a myth. I don't think I need to say it, but it can improve your time to exhaustion by 20 to 30% on average, which is massive when you think about it. So that's one of the main ones that I think people do actually get wrong for this sort of thing, is put too much emphasis on carb loading. Another thing which I find quite interesting is sodium. A lot of people, we've spoken about electrolytes before, think, right, I need to get my hydration up. I need to get as much sodium in as possible. So they start having loads of electrolytes in the days leading up. Now, that is generally great. I would say for most people, we are probably not drinking enough water.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where that stops. Like, we're probably not drinking enough water. Sodium, you get still quite a lot from your diet. But a lot of people, especially in the day leading up to a Hyrox, might have 3-4 electrolyte sachets, and they might not be paying too much attention of how much sodium is in each one. And sodium is the main thing, the main electrolyte you lose when you sweat. So for some people, depending on the intensity and depending on who you are, you lose between 400 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams per hour in sweat. 2,000 is excessive.
Yeah.
But there will be people that are taking in, like I said, 4, maybe even 5 times that the day before in order to hydrate. And one of the key things, and I've definitely got this wrong before as well, is if maybe you're doing a bit of carb loading, you feel a bit bloated the day before your race, or you still feel thirsty even though you've been hydrating, you're just having too much sodium. That's one of the key signs. So some science again, if you want to know how much you should be having, 3 to 4 grams, so 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams of salt in the 24 hours prior to your event is really the upper safe limit for an athlete. So you don't want to be crossing that. And that does mean you need to take into account what you're eating as well as what you're drinking.
Well, you said it there. I think like you get a lot of the sodium from your diet and probably more than you actually consider you actually intake through your diet. But another thing that I think is important, because you do want to be on top of it. You do want to be like fully hydrated. If you're running a Hyrox race, you're in a venue that's typically really hot. So you are going to be on the upper end of the scale of losing sweat. But again, like you're probably only working out for 90 minutes, an hour to 90 minutes. So is it the end of the world? No, but is it a good way to enhance your performance? 100%. So it's one of those things to definitely consider.
That's the thing. If you get it right, it's such a difference. And you'll also notice it because you can have a really good performance and then you won't get a headache after. That's one of the biggest things I've always noticed. If I've not hydrated properly or sodium, then I'm feeling like I've got a crazy headache later on in the day. I feel everything aches a bit more. But again, if you're having slightly too much, well, the way your cells work is they're going to go and get that fluid from somewhere. And if they can take it from a muscle that might not be using it, they're going to take it from that. If they're going to take it from an organ, again, I said that I was getting headaches. My brain was literally shriveled up by the end of it because it was taking everything from where it could get. Then that's going to cause me issues in the race because I also then don't have the fluid to sweat out in the same way.
Do you have a process or a structure leading up to a race and like when you fuel, when you eat, when you drink? Do you have timings or are you a little bit more flexible fluid?
So yeah, if you'd asked me a year ago, no, not really. I think the main thing for me now is that in the days leading up to a competition, I will definitely always have a bottle of water on me so I can constantly be sipping out it.
Was it you who was just smashing muffins?
I've done that, yeah. Like I also see
a full sorry.
So if I get nervous and I find fueling quite hard around exercise, so I try and make it as enjoyable as possible.
Sure.
And
that's a really good tip, actually.
A whole loaf of Soreen is quite easy to eat. Actually, you don't need the butter on it, anything. You can buy the block, and as soon as you bite into what looks like a really dry block, it's lovely.
Yeah,
that's got 160 grams of carbs in it.
For a whole block.
And if we were talking about carb loading, I would only need to eat, for my body weight, I'd only need to eat 5 blocks a day.
Only need to eat.
Which is easy.
Yeah.
So if I have one block of Soreen, and then what did I have in Cardiff, which was my bad fueling time? I think I had 3 muffins.
Yeah.
So
that was you. That's where I know it from.
Scientifically, the right amount of carbs.
Yeah.
but just wrong.
Yeah.
Totally wrong
just
timing.
wrong.
So yeah, I mean, that's why I do that, because I know that I'll always want to eat that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we can come back to is what you do just before your race. So for those of you that have been at Hyrox events, marathons, pretty much any sporting event actually ever, if you go to the toilet before a competition starts, you know what you're in for. It's like Chernobyl, basically. Like, it's mad. You can smell it from 100 meters away. The main cause of that, I would say, is caffeine.
Maybe.
So in terms of caffeine and taking caffeine in, this is another thing that I have probably underdone.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really factor in my body weight, but you also need to factor in your caffeine sensitivity. So caffeine for you, something you steer away from?
Yes, in terms of like taking it as an actual like performance enhancer, even though I understand how beneficial it is, but that's just like a personal choice for me. I will have, well, depending on when I'm racing, I will have my normal dose of caffeine. I will have coffee in the day that I'm racing, but I'm not using it as a performance enhancer, which can be very beneficial. There's lots of people that I know will eradicate it from their diet the week or weeks leading up to it. So their sensitivity to it is slightly higher. So it has more of an impact on the day. Because when you think about it, if you're drinking lots of coffee every single day, whether that's for performance or not, or just like general lifestyle, your body reacts to it slightly less than it would if you didn't have it in your diet. So lots of people will remove it and then add it back in for race day, and as a result they're a bit more sensitive and they get a bit more from it.
Well, around a similar time to us talking about tapering, we had a guest episode. We got Phil from Human 24 on, who is an expert in all things.
It's such a good episode.
It's a really good episode to listen to and understand this a bit more. But one of the main things that I remember him saying about caffeine is it is a performance enhancing drug that is legal. It can do a number of things. It increases the level at which your heart rate can go to and rise to, which is good in terms of a normal aerobic sense. So you're sort of pushing that boundary. One of the downsides is it can increase your anxious response.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So that's something, if you are a person that gets anxious,
and
that can kind of put you into the wrong side of nerves, or as our friend from That's Monday podcast would say, arousal. Stimulation. But then the other thing is also to consider the half-life of caffeine, which is when you're having it in your training, you do need to consider that the half-life is, I believe, it's actually like 10 hours, which is why a lot of people say, I won't have caffeine after like 2 p.m. Which is genuinely, it makes a massive difference on your sleep, and it won't necessarily affect how quickly you get to sleep. It's just the sleep quality. When it comes to your competition, though, you also need to think about that in terms of a lot of people will have their energy drink or whatever they're having for caffeine while they're in the warm-up area. And the prime time to really have it, so it kind of kicks in, is an hour before. And a lot of people say, oh, no, it kicks in for me like 30 minutes before. It's like, it might do, but it's not going anywhere.
Well, it's also like what you're experiencing there is like the sensation rather than like the actual physiological response that your body's having, which needs probably longer. Exactly. So you're getting the stimulation, you're like, okay, I'm buzzing now, I feel good to go. But actually you need a little bit longer for the full effect to happen in the muscles rather than the chemical makeup in your brain, basically.
Exactly. And like if you consider this into a whole pre-warm-up routine, which we'll get to in a moment, it's best to have the energy drink away, especially if it's carbonated. Get it down, get it going, let it do its thing. Maybe you feel half an hour before, oh, I can feel it working out, great. It's not going to go anywhere for the next 9.5 hours.
Exactly.
So like, chill out. It's going to do it's going to do its job. So that's one thing. And then kind of touching back into the carb side here, because a lot of people will use caffeinated gels. It is a good idea to have some sort of carb before you start. So typically you would still want to have a relatively carb dense like meal before your race. So talking 200 grams is a pretty broad general thing, but if you aim for sort of 200 grams in a meal 3 to 4 hours before your race, but you still want to top it up maybe with a gel that's 25 to 30 grams of carbs before your race, just so you've got that immediate store.
So with my clients, what I typically suggest, like the timeline is, we're having our last meal at least 2 hours before you race, which if you've got, and you said it there, if you've got like the 8 a.m. start time or the 7 a.m. start time, you're eating really, really early, which is really tough. So that wants to be, let's just say we are working out in the morning. You want that morning meal to be as close to your regular breakfast as you'd have on a day-to-day, maybe with slightly higher carb intake, just so you have a little bit more glycogen reserve for the actual race, but you have that minimum 2 hours before. We're then probably going to eat at least 2 more times between that and actually starting the race. So your next meal is probably, let's say, 45 minutes before you start the race. So you've had a little bit of a chance to digest your main meal, but now you're having something super carby. So I like to use like Squares bars or something similar, which is very high in sugar and it's very high GI. So it's very quick to get into the bloodstream. And then 10 minutes before we're racing, so literally just as we're going into the tunnel, that's when you're having your last bit of sugar intake or carb. So that's when, for me personally, I'd have a gel. But other people have sweets or jellies or something that's just very quick to digest, very easy to get down, and then you're ready to go.
So some anecdotal advice on that as well. I do typically go for a gel, but I absolutely make sure it's not the last thing I have before I go into the tunnel, because I also sometimes with nerves, I find that I don't get clammy palms, I don't get anything like that. I get dry mouth.
Yeah.
And so I definitely don't want to have something like a gel that can make my mouth feel even stickier unless I've got the ability to immediately wash it down with something.
Yeah.
And that's also the other reason that I wouldn't go for something like a Squares bar necessarily right before, because it again could dry my mouth out. So I have to be quite conscious of that.
I think and that's a good tip if we continue talking about Hyrox. Like in the warm-up area, there is water available to you, so like you don't have to worry about taking your bottle in and leaving it. Like you can get water in the warm-up zone. So I'll have my gel and make sure that's washed down with water. But if you're worried about not having access to water in the warm-up area, just take like a plastic bottle or something that you can just chuck away. Not that I advocate single-use plastic, but take in, or like a Lucozade Sport or something like that you can just sip on across the warm-up, and then you can chuck it away, don't have to worry about it, and then you're good to go.
I know there are actually some events, and this is included in Hyrox, but not all the time, that don't let you take a bottle into the warm-up area. So in that situation, you've got to deal with those little shot cups. I would say number one, you can get carried away or even worried about having too many of them because they don't feel like you're drinking anything. Make sure when you're having those, you're swilling them around your mouth, because sometimes you get dry mouth and you have a drink and it doesn't help your mouth because it's gone straight down your throat.
Sure.
Make sure you're kind of getting that swilled, clearing out any of the sort of saliva that you've just built up from doing a good warm-up. You get rid of that, and then you can go in and not feel like you've suddenly taken on a kilogram of water, which you didn't want to take around. There's a few more things that I wanted to touch on really quickly, which I don't think you really need to be considering for a sim, but you could try again. So one of the most sort of trendy things, which we've done a lot of time, is beetroot juice and nitrates. So nitrates is another thing that I discussed on that episode with Phil. It's another performance enhancer. They are proven scientifically to make a difference, and they do work. But again, there's kind of an asterisk with it, because it really makes a difference to your performance, but it's probably only worth putting yourself through. I mean, it's not that bad. It's probably only worth putting yourself through if you know that everything else is
dialed in.
Yeah.
That's the same with everything, and any supplementation you're going to do on top of your diet. If you're sat at home eating oven pizzas and meal deals all day long, there's probably room or scope for improvement on your actual diet to get more out of, in terms of like a quality, nutrient dense diet that's going to help improve your performance, rather than just turning and going, I'm going to supplement now because that's what everyone else is doing. Sort your diet out, make sure and the nuts and bolts of your diet are really good. Make sure your sleep and recovery is really good. And then you can start layering. And then it's like the small things before you start thinking about bicarb and nitrate loading, et cetera.
So one of the things I was going to say, if you are going to try the whole nitrates thing, I think we've probably discussed it before, but you have the option of buying the shots, which come in. So you get 400 milligrams, which is in one of those shots, which is typically fine for most people. Again, depending on your body weight, I
am their top customer.
So you can have that, and that obviously is a very easy way of getting it in and down. It does not taste very nice at all. If you want to go to an alternative method, which is slightly cheaper, you can go and get beetroot juice and have it straight from the source. You can get the coarse compressed one, which has got a little bit of apple juice in it, which helps. But you need to be having about half a litre of that, which is a pint. I actually don't mind the coarse compressed one now. I've kind of got used to it, but you have to be aware there is a much greater volume that you need to intake, and you need to be aware of the side effects. if you're going to start doing this, you probably want to do it 7 to 5 days out of your competition. In that time, things that come out the other end are going to be bright red.
Yeah.
That is normal, unless there's something else going on with you. But generally speaking, it's normal.
So don't get freaked out when you see that.
Don't get too freaked out.
Yeah.
Then other things that I've written down that people take sometimes through their training, but before a race, creatine.
Yeah.
You don't need to change it.
No.
If you're already taking it, keep taking it.
On that note, I'll just say that's out of anything that we've discussed there, that's the one thing that I would recommend taking in your training.
Everyone should be taking it.
Just everyone. And there's so much now coming out about brain function and brain performance, and the actual dosage that you need to be taking is probably 5 times the amount recommended. But again, that's unsolicited. I'll let you do your own research on that. But it's such a fantastic supplement that everyone and anyone, whether you train or not, should be taking.
And a quick one on that: if you aren't already aware, your body already naturally produces it. So you're not giving it anything that it doesn't already know about. It's not like something that has just been cooked up in a lab that we're saying to take. Your body already gets it from food, mainly from, beef products have a large amount of it in, but we don't get enough of it in our diet, especially in ultra processed food. So creatine is a great thing to be taking. The next thing, you touched on it already, bicarb.
Yeah.
Bicarb's super powerful, super powerful in both senses of the word.
You've got to be sensible and like actually really be on it with your dosage.
There is an art form to it. It tastes disgusting. I've tried to put a tiny amount in porridge to see how much it tastes, and it doesn't. I don't think it tastes like soap. It just tastes like acid. You'll know if you've ever made pancakes with bicarb and you haven't mixed it properly. You can taste it. You kind of need to mix it. Morton is one of the companies. There's another company called Flycarb, or their bicarb packets, which basically do the same thing, and it's immersed in an electrolyte gel, which helps you break it down as it goes in. But even then, like, there's still a very specific dosage.
I do like the idea of someone else doing the dosage for 100%. You rather than you experimenting at home.
Yeah, and when we say like it's very powerful, it can be explosive at one end and also cause crazy stomach cramps.
Sure.
And if you really do it wrong, hospitalize yourself.
It's very popular in long endurance sports like cycling. But when you think about the professionals who are cycling, they have a team nutritionist and a team doctor who are helping figure out dosage, etc. But talk about like the benefits of bicarb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the benefit is mainly being that it increases the efficiency of your aerobic system in terms of flushing out
waste product, basically.
Yeah, waste products. So dealing with lactate a lot better, which then just allows you to perform a little bit longer, increases the efficiency of the oxygen in your muscles.
Very similar to what the nitrate loading is doing as well.
Exactly. 2 more things that are actually pretty common that Hyrox athletes take is beta-alanine.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes you itch in pre-workouts, and citrulline malate.
Yeah.
Both similar effect to bicarb, less so, but just aid in your body's efficiency in moving the blood around, and oxygenated blood, and dealing with lactate at different levels. So you can play with those.
Yeah.
They are readily available, all of them, various different price points, especially things like the bicarb, because they're doing all the dosing for you. It's a lot more expensive. But if those are things that you think, you know what, my training is dialed, I've really worked on my sleep, I want to give some of these things a go.
Yeah.
Absolutely give them a go. Look up the time that you think is good for you to load based on how your body processes things and how much you need based on your body weight. And then absolutely give them a go and see how they perform in a sim before you turn up and decide to do it the week before your race.
I'd also just caveat all of that. It's like if you're struggling to find good information or credible information on how to take it, when to take it, what dosage, then just speak to a nutritionist. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to help and seek some actual professional advice rather than 2 idiots on a podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, the 2 idiots on the podcast are going to move on to the next.
Wait, hang on. I just remembered again because I thought about when you were talking about electrolytes, and this is completely off topic, but I think it's really, really funny. And I'm going to name no names, but one of my friends who I bumped into the other day, he was talking about the price and the costs of all of these supplements and electrolytes. So what he did, he took a very popular brand of electrolytes and just read the ingredients list off the back, and then went online and bought all the raw ingredients for what you need to make electrolytes. So what then happened was however many bags of kg of white powder just arrived on his doorstep. he doesn't live in the UK. He was just in the UK at the time when he ordered it. And he was then traveling to where he does live. So he's walking through the airport with a big bag just full of white powder. And yeah, I asked him how it went, and he said, yeah, no one stopped me, no one searched me, we're all good.
It's crazy. When I went to, when was it, Barcelona this year, I had individual IKEA Ziploc bags of citrulline malate, beta-alanine. I even took some sodium bicarb just to mess around with.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Not even checked. Nothing.
Also, when we went to Nice for World Champs, and again, I won't name names, but someone who was racing had forgotten about his Morton gels that he had in his hand luggage. And obviously I got flagged when it went through the x-ray and pulled to one side, and we're all waiting there like, oh, there's always one guy who forgets to check his hand luggage. And the security guy's going through it, and he'd stuffed all his Morton gels in a water bottle, and the guy's pulling them out. And obviously the Morton gels are expensive. And this guy, he looked like Puss in Boots, just like big wide eyes, like, please don't throw my gels away. Please, can I take them? Please. He's like explaining, I've got Hyrox World Champs. I need these gels. They're so expensive. And the guy was just like, yeah, all right, take them too.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
especially because now in a lot of places they don't even make you put everything in like a volume.
No, they've increased the amount you can take through us a bit. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that.
Although, one last point: don't, for the reason that they're not going to pull out this plastic bag, or you need to separate them. Don't put them at the bottom of your bag.
Oh yeah, nice.
Because when you do get stopped,
that's actually
unpack your
that's another huge pro tip that I tell all of my clients who are traveling for Hyrox. If you're taking hold luggage and hand luggage, pack your freaking carbons and your race day kit in your hand luggage, because if they lose your holds,
so true,
and you get to the race, like start of the race, and you haven't got carbons, you haven't got any of your race kit, just put all of the stuff that you actually need to race in your hand luggage.
Another thing, if you're traveling with 2 hand luggages, split all of your fluids across the 2 of them. So many times I've packed it all into one, and they've been like, you can't do that, and I'm like, I've got another bag, watch this. Anyway, we're moving on to kind of what you do on race day. So warm-ups have always been a thing that I think people misunderstand. I've got 2 quotes. I've got one from you, which is, think about it like warming an engine up on a cold day.
Yeah,
I really like that. The next one is actually a quote from a study.
Okay.
So I'm going to do...
Not from me.
Not from you, actually, unless your surname was formerly Burnley.
Oh, yeah.
But Burnley et al. From the 2005 Journal of Applied Physiology found that performing a heavy warm-up bout before exercise speeds up VO2 kinetics, which is oxygen uptake response. It reduces reliance on anaerobic metabolism and improves tolerance to severe intensity exercise. In some cases, time to exhaustion was extended by 15 to 20%, which again, as a percentage of your performance and ability, is massive.
Yeah.
But I said severe intensity there, and that's really true.
Yeah, for sure.
So warm-ups, people typically at events that I have noticed, especially if I've been filming them, I'll say, look, I don't want to get in the way of your warm-up, so I'll meet you 40 minutes before outside the warm-up area, because I think 40 minutes is typically what I would spend. That allows me to go through some mobility, slowly build up. We'll talk about the actual process in a moment. But yeah, a lot of people will turn up, bag drop 10 minutes before, walk straight to the tunnel. They don't want to waste their energy before the race.
I think I like this because there's lots to unpick here, but basically your quote from Burnley et al. In 2005, that Applied Physiology Journal is like super good for any sort of just information around training and et cetera, et cetera. But what that's saying is exactly the same as my quote of, it's like warming an engine up on a cold day. Just that's simplified, because I say that to all of the members who come to my classes or who I coach and who I train with. If you're not doing a really effective warm-up, you're losing out on, so that's a performance enhancer in itself. And it's like you jump in the car, and it's such an easy analogy, and it's frosty outside and it's cold. You get in the car, it's all cold. You turn it on. If you start revving the shit out of the engine, something's going to go. Maybe not then, but later down the line. So you wait for oil temperature to rise. You just wait for the engine temperature to rise, and then it's good to go. And it's exactly the same thing when you do a race, whether that's Hyrox, whether you're going for a run or you're racing an actual running race or an Ironman, it doesn't matter. What I think a lot of the time with Hyrox is the warm-up area is like filled with testosterone, and it's just like an ego measuring contest, and it's like people strutting around with their chests out and like who's going to be the fight, and it doesn't matter because you're not racing them, you're racing the clock at the end of the day. But as a result, the warm-up area is a hostile place to be, And that's where you get the most nerves. So it's like, I can understand why you don't want to spend a long time in the warm-up area. But if you're not in the warm-up area for long enough, then you're just killing yourself from kind of step one of the race.
So one of the things that I think is important is a lot of people, as we've said, are scared to waste their energy for the race.
Yeah.
And I would say the people that I've just said drop their bags 10 minutes before, go straight into the tunnel, versus the people that have warmed up appropriately do the exact same thing for the 10 minutes prior to their race. And that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes before, you really ease off the intensity. But the total difference that's happened, like I said, is you would typically start off your warm-up, or this is what I would do, and actually this would be interesting if you told me what I'm doing wrong, but a lot of this was actually learned from you, so we'll see if I've adapted too far and gone down my own thing. But part of it is being able to replicate something that feels good and you might have done in previous workouts so that mentally you know you're ready to go. For me, what that looks like is I'm going to go in and I'm going to sit on a bike for 3K, which is about sort of, I don't know, 6.5 minutes at the sort of pace. I'm just getting some blood through my lower body. I'm then going to come off the bike and I'm going to start doing some dynamic stretches. So I'm not necessarily going to be static. I'm going to still be moving. If there's anything that I've had niggles wise or kind of concerns about things that do get tight, I might do some static stretching, but I don't try and stay in those positions too long. Once I've done that, I might start doing some reduced weight movements. So I'm kind of getting the blood flow. I might do a few burpees. I might do a few body weight lunges, that sort of thing, just to make sure that I'm feeling smooth. I typically don't touch the sleds.
Interesting.
I'm not that bothered about them. At that point, I'll probably go over to a ski erg or a rowing machine and I'll do a bit of a build up, and I'll start with perceived slow effort for a minute.
Yeah.
A slightly increased effort for 45 seconds and then a harder effort for 30 seconds, back off, and I'll go through that 2, maybe 3 times. And then what I'll do, provided that there's one available, I'll actually sit back on a bike and I will get my legs turning over what I want my running speed to be. For the next sort of 5 minutes, I'll have my gel and then I'll chill out and just do anything else I need for my nerves.
Okay, interesting. Do you ever go on the treadmill?
Again, it's very dependent on if the bike is available.
Yeah, you
I much prefer to be on the bike because I feel like I can control what I'm doing a lot more. The running side of things on the treadmill, and this is again quite specific to Hyrox, I can't remember if the treadmill's a center or
treadmills suck, don't
the treadmills suck.
They never work.
It's like as soon as I touch them, I don't want to say I'm like really heavy, but I feel like I'm stuck with my foot for a split second before it slides. And so I'd rather not be thinking about my running like that. I'd rather just sit on a bike, which I know and love.
No, that's fair. But just before I get into that warm up a little bit more, but look at professional athletes. You look at someone doing the Tour de France. They're on their turbo. I don't know how long before the race, but they're on there for a long time. If they're doing a time trial, you know, I watch the whole time trial. If they're the top guys, they go last in the time trial. They're pretty much on the bike for the entirety of the time trial before they even then race. So that's got to be like an hour minimum. Post race as well, they jump back on the bike. And I'm like, you've been cycling then for like 8-9 hours in the day, and only 5 or 6 of those hours were actually the race. Same for marathon runners. They're running kilometers before they do their actual race, which is mental. And I know that's a capacity thing and they're at the top of their sport, but everyone needs to be doing a relatively decent warm-up to their ability. But I think your warm-up especially has all of the components that I look at as a really effective warm-up. And I use the anagram RAMP: raise, activate, mobilize, potentiate. And the P, the potentiate or prepare, that's a better way to think about it. That's the more specific stuff. Now the raise, that's your heart rate, that's your body temperature. You're doing that by sitting on the bike for 3K. Some people prefer to do the mobilize and activate first. So you can switch that and make it MARP. So you might do mobilize, activate, then raise. But when it's something really low impact and low aerobic, like a bike effort, it's easy enough to start with that. So if we want to keep it specific to Hyrox and warming up for a Hyrox race, I'd definitely jump on the bike first, just get the heart rates going. The only other thing to think about logistics wise, just like warm up admin, there's not always that many bikes.
Absolutely not.
And it's very hard to not be British and polite and like, oh, I know you go, you have the bike. Oh, I'll wait. You've got to have your elbows out in the warm-up zone and you've got to like own it and not get bullied, because it's very easy to get bullied in the warm-up zone. And if people are like standing around you and like huffing and puffing because you've been on it a long time, that's their problem. They can go and find another machine. You've got to be selfish in the warm-up area if you want a good warm-up. So ideally you start on a bike. If not, then I'd go for a rowing machine as a good alternative. And you want to sit on those for, I was going to say probably 5 minutes. You're doing a little bit longer, which is okay, but probably somewhere around 5 minutes, just super easy, starting to get I call it the juices flowing, but that's letting the engine start to warm up, warming up the oil temperature. Then you're doing your activation stuff. That's going to be slightly different for everyone. I've got lots of specific ones for my glutes and my hips and my lower back to make sure I'm feeling good. But there's lots of good ones you can do. And a really good tip, if you can, take a band into the warm-up zone, because there's no bands in the warm-up area. If you have like a TheraBand or some sort of band that you can use for hip and glute activation, do it. The only problem is you have to then find someone before.
To throw the band out,
yeah. If you're on your first lap, chuck it out your pocket, or find someone just before you go into the tunnel to give that to, or hide it in the warm-up area, or do something like, or just whatever, but having a band is really, really helpful. There's other exercises you can do if you don't have a band, but that's one of my top tips, is try and have a band when you go into the warm-up area. Then you've got your mobilizing stuff, which is a little bit of stretching, but like you do, I'd keep this really dynamic and keep moving and keep it really specific to the movements that you're doing in the actual race. So whether you're doing world's greatest stretch, it's nice to get the rotation through the upper back, but it's also a lunge position, so you're starting to open out the hips and the lower back a little bit as well. The one thing that I would do differently is the potentiate, kind of the prepare for the race. This is the really specific bit. That's when I would probably get on the sled and just like start to, and again, it's specific. And if you don't, for you, the sled's no issue because it's light. For me, I know the sled's,
I don't know if I get that part.
light relative. For me, the sled's a sticky point. So I want to feel the movement pattern and make sure I've had a play around with it. And that's a confidence build for me. It's like, I need to push the sled. It's going to feel easy. I go into that part of the warm-up with a really positive mental attitude. Push it for a little bit. Don't tire my legs out too much, but go, all right, the sled's going to move well for me today.
See, the reason I don't do that
is just in case that doesn't happen.
It's because I've been to too many races, and I know this has been a consistent thing that we've always spoken about, and everyone speaks about in Hyrox specifically, but every single lane feels different. And the number of times I have done the sled in the warm-up and then done the sled in the race,
felt so different.
And it's felt so different. And what can be really bad is my brain only works negatively around that. So if I push the sled in the warm-up area and it feels light, I'm like, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavier than that. This is tough. If I push the sled and it feels heavy, I'm immediately like, shit, this is heavy.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
why I don't let it get in my head, because I
Yeah.
don't touch it.
And that's fine. That's then for me justification enough for you to not have to push the sled.
Yeah.
Ideally in your training you'll have done enough.
That's my point as well.
'Cause
Like, I know I can move.
I still hear
not move.
Yeah, I still hear horror stories of people being like, "Oh, the first time I pulled the sled was in the warm-up area."
That's so true for me as well.
That's like
my very first race was the first time. I
Yeah,
pulled the sled.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
like, how is that? But I think that this sport has evolved now, and people are a bit more experienced, and there's access in gyms to pull sleds a little bit more now. The only other thing that I would also do differently from your warm-up to my warm-up is, once you've done all of your protocol, you then hop back on the bike and just keep the legs spinning, which is great for keeping blood flow and keeping you warm and keeping you ready. But for me, it's basically right before I go to the tunnel that I spike my heart rate to its highest point.
Okay.
Because what I'm thinking about doing is, and this is the same analogy with the engine warming up, I want my heart rate to be at least as high as it's going to be in the race as it is in the warm-up. Because what that does is it kind of just prepares the body. This is not the official physiology, but it prepares the body for the effort. So it's like you've opened out the lungs, you've got the heart beating, you've got the blood pumping, as a really basic way of thinking about it, to the point that it's going to be in the race. Maybe not quite as high, and obviously not sustained for the amount of time as it will be in the race. But so I get on the ski erg, ideally, because that's a good one to get my heart rate going. It's very easy, and typically there's one available. And I'll do some efforts in some capacity, but my efforts are much shorter than what you were doing. So you're doing minute 45, 30. I'd probably do like 15 seconds, like rip the handles off it, and then like 45 seconds moderate a couple of times until I can feel my heart rate, until I'm breathing. I want to feel that breathing. I want to feel sweaty. So that's my other thing in the warm-up area. We do the sweat check. Make sure you're sweaty in the warm-up area. And that's the thing that people are petrified of.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I've used all my energy in the warm-up zone. I'm like, no, you're all good.
Yeah.
You want to feel like that. Honestly, it makes such a big difference. If you're not warming up effectively and you start warming up properly, skyrocket your performance instantly.
Big time. And I think one thing that I would give as a massive piece of advice here is I find it interesting some of the differences that we have. If you and I, and it probably is going to happen, did a doubles, I think the difference between us and maybe some of the people that might be listening to this is we would fuck off. Like you would do your warm up, I would do my warm up. Okay. What you don't want to do is get caught in the trap of my partner's doing this, so I'm going to do that with them. If it's not your warm up and you don't know it works for you, it doesn't work.
It's really funny because I've gone into the warm up area when I've done doubles before, and that we've walked in together. The next time I see them, they're in the tunnel. Like, we haven't even coordinated going to the tunnel. It's like, I know I want to be in the tunnel for X amount of minutes. They want to be in the tunnel for X amount of minutes. I'll just meet you there.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And I think that is also a race experience thing as well. But I think that's a common flaw, is that people get so caught up and maybe get caught up in the nerves because they stick around their partner. They talk through all the race tactics beforehand, and you're not actually warming up. You're now just stressing.
Yes.
And you basically want to go in, you want to be like, done my warm up, ticked all those boxes. Now it's race time. Oh, there's my partner. Little fist bump, off we
Let's go. Yeah. I think also as well, don't fall into the trap of getting into the tunnel too soon, because people go in like, as soon as the wave before them's gone, they're in the tunnel, and it's like you're staying there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not conducive. You then, your body temperature's lowering, your heart rate's lowering, and you're just standing there just stressing, because it is a really stimulating environment. That's a stressful place to be if you've never been in the tunnel before. So yeah, don't go too early.
And I've forced Hugh, who obviously works with you on ROXD. So I've done a doubles with Hugh, and I forced him to actually start late because it was in London when it was the last chance qualifiers for the men's elite 15 doubles, and I wanted to watch who won. So I was peeking through the back of the warm-up area, and I heard the big noise. I was like, do, 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 do. And I was like, wait. They're on like 98. Watch them go, and then we went out. That was nice because the whole time I wasn't thinking about my race. I was thinking about just doing that.
That would be really stressful for me. I wouldn't like that.
I won't do that when we race together. Right. Well, I think that was a good lead up to the event that we're hosting. So again, try and take what we've given you there and apply that, because on the day we'll obviously be there. We can help you out with little things, but we would rather you turned up and got on with what works for you. Maybe consider those things to try in your warm up if you haven't already, and then you can get in and have a.
You've got to use that. That's what the simulation is. It's like practice. It's like if you're a football team, you train in the week and then you play your match on the weekend. This is practice. This is where you're practicing different moves, or like corners or free kicks, that kind of thing. Maybe try a different pacing strategy. Try some different things. Play around with it. Like you say, intra-fueling. We didn't even discuss that. But if you want to have gels during, try it, see if it works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
And I actually sort of avoided that as a topic because I know there's a lot of people think of one way, and I have tried multiple different things, and I, through just process of elimination, have found what I rely on.
But yeah, it's very personal and very specific to you, but that's why the simulation's so good, is because it's going to help you figure out what works best for you.
Exactly. Now we need to move on to the next part of the podcast, which is the grind my gears part. So I'll let you start this week. What has been grinding your gears, or what have you had submitted?
Do you know what? I've had a pretty low key week where I haven't actually had that many things annoying me. And it's funny that we were mentioning the airport so much earlier, because one of my grind my gears is when people go through the airport, and there's two pain points for me. You know, the travelators, the long travelators, and then escalators by the stairs. It really grinds my gears when people use those two things. You're about to sit on the plane, or you've just got off the plane. And it really grinded my gears when I was going to New Zealand, and we sat on the plane for 17 hours. And then you see the flight of stairs, and I'm like, that thing's glowing. Like, I want to get up those stairs. Like, I'm going to double step those stairs because I've been sat down for so long. And people just mill off to the side and go up the escalator. I'm like, move your body, like move your legs. Come on.
So, travelator, I'll use.
But you'll walk on it.
I'm walking on it. I was about to say, there's no way I'm standing still on that thing.
No, surely the people you're with, one's on the travelator, one's not, and you race.
Oh, I used to do that as a kid all the time.
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'm always racing.
If the travelator's too busy and I'm walking, I'm
yeah.
beating everybody that's going on the travelator.
Always.
Even if I have to do it in the back.
They don't know we're racing. We're
it's
racing.
100% a race. Yeah. There's never a
that's fine. Just use the stairs.
Escalator, I will use it if it's empty, but other's 100%.
But you standing on the escalator? Or you walk?
No, I'll walk up it.
So okay, this isn't exclusive to the airport. It's tube stations as well.
I
always.
I think
I
in the
always
last-
walk up the escalator,
Yeah.
but there's
Down?
yeah, I'll walk down the escalator as well. But if there's a lift, I always take the fire stairs, the fire exit.
I agree. Apart from, there's one station in London. Someone listening to this will know the exact station. There's a station in London. Is it Highgate? That's got
Most steps, 300 and something.
yeah.
Because I did that once. I did that recently by accident.
Yeah, and it will remain. An
The problem is
accident forever,
because my local tube station, it's 79 steps or 179 steps, and I do that pretty much daily. And then I got to Highgate and I'd forgotten the number 179, and I saw like 300 and something. I was like, well, that's only like 20 more than I do. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is yeah.
yeah, and it's a spiral, so the steps aren't very big.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
people coming up the way. Yeah,
And I'm like, I'm pretty fit on the stairs, but that was tough. That was tough.
On the tube thing, we actually had someone write in, and they've actually echoed something I've previously said, but I just want to remind people that this wasn't just me. People who aren't ready with their contactless or Oyster cards at the gate, like people are still doing this. Did they not hear it?
Yeah, come on.
I thought we'd all bucked our ideas.
Yeah.
Another one that I've got from Al has written in. I love this one. Every active brand dropping out a camo range.
No, don't at me.
Yeah, I mean,
I've probably bought from
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure everyone I know owns one, but the fact that every single brand has brought out seemingly the identical
I
camo brand.
got the question last night, actually.
Is that or that?
I was like, no. They asked, so how much Realtree do you actually own now? I was like, the fact that I can't tell you off the top of my head is tough. Nah. Keep it coming. I love it.
So I've got another one from Des, which is people on their phones not looking where they're going. That's a standard.
Yeah, classic.
And also came in with official race pictures of someone recording themselves crossing a finish line.
Shut up. I haven't seen that, but yeah, I can understand. It might be frustrating.
I have so there's a personal one which has kind of set me off from someone else's TikTok. So I'm kind of stealing a grind my gears, but I'm just adding to it.
Yeah.
There is a girl who ran Chicago Marathon. Mm-hmm. She posted her photos online, and she got a message about 5 days later from one of her friends saying, "Is this not you?" And forwarded an influencer's post which had their face photoshopped onto her body. It was still her race number, and the audacity to put as the caption, "Not the time I wanted," with her time. Not the time I wanted, but got it done anyway. There has been quite the number of fake marathon photos with influential people. And in fact, I was actually listening to another podcast which covered the fact that Harry Styles ran a sub-3 marathon. Did you hear that he obviously ran under a fake name?
Yeah.
Now,
People getting upset with that.
it. I've heard a few reasons, and again, this was on this other podcast, as to why
I saw this clip as well.
So yeah, my personal opinion is just that it was a safety thing for them, because if you have seen any of these people in like YouTube videos or whatever, it takes 10 seconds before there's hundreds of people around them.
Yeah.
And so I've heard creative ideas being that Berlin Marathon didn't want their website to crash in terms of chips. And do you know what? It probably would also have happened.
Broken the internet. I'm also like, do you think Harry Styles fans would have really been bothered to go and track him?
No, that's so true. That's so true. But I also
I like that theory.
I watched a great video before technology is what technology is now, with like chips and everything like that. There was a woman who won the Boston Marathon with a 2-hour 31 finish, and she was reported by one person as being seen, I think 800 meters out from the finish, starting the race, running across, basically collapsing and being held by police. She goes to finish the race. She's claiming the win, everything like that. The news reporter, she's brilliant. She's absolutely mugging this woman off. She's like, so, what was your last marathon? A 2:58, and that was only a matter of weeks ago. So what did you change in your training? And she was like, oh, no, I just had a great day today. and the reporter's like, well, we missed you at all of our checkpoints and we're watching all of them come through. So, you're our mystery winner. What's the mystery behind it? Have you been increasing your interval training? And this woman is the worst liar. She goes, you're the second person to mention intervals. I don't know what they are. What's interval training? And the reporter's just like, a lot of runners do interval training.
Yeah.
we'll have to verify this result and come back to you.
sus.
And it was just like, there's so many people, even today, that try and fake doing a marathon or even the time they get, which is inexplicable. There was twins or some well-known influencers in America, I think in America, who got a taxi from one point to one point, and when their chip didn't go through a timer, they said that it was an error. They uploaded their Strava time, which was actually someone else that did race. All of this, it happens. It's crazy.
The Harry Styles thing, like I think it truly is like a genuine, I don't want people to know I'm racing this race so I don't get swamped when I'm there. People don't try and run with me, all of the rest of it. I'm sure that is genuine, but yeah, it is interesting that people get upset because it's a major. If you're racing under someone else's name, that shouldn't count. But it is, and also like, it's Harry Styles. Like, the whole world now knows he ran that marathon anyway. So if it just entered under his own name, what difference would it have actually really made? But you don't know. Maybe he's being advised by a security team or whatever, and who knows? Like, you don't know what it's like to be a very well-known A-list celebrity. And
the interesting thing is that a lot of people that would have been fangirling or fanboying over him probably wouldn't have been able to keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was actually thinking maybe in the race it would disrupt his race, but no.
Everything about it, that marathon is just truly goated. The fact that he ran it in such hot weather in a long sleeve black t-shirt and ran under an alias is just like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I've got another one from our friends over at the Diet Starts Monday podcast complaining that it's not even winter yet and they're seeing far too many gilets.
It's always gilet weather in London.
It
actually is.
I was saying to you beforehand, I actually dug out. I've got one of those heated gilets, and I'm doing a filming event this week. I need to be up through the night because it's a backyard ultra. I cannot wait to wear that thing.
I think that's a good purchase. The heated gilet.
Underrated. You can get them on Amazon.
I'm going to go in with one now, but it's really niche, so I might have to explain it a bit. Okay. I don't know if I've done this one before, but it was recently just annoying me in the gym. It's especially specific to CrossFit, but it's kind of leaking into Hyrox and functional training, where you're doing a workout where you've got a cardio machine, let's say a row or a ski, and you have to get off and then do some other stuff, some burpees, some wall balls, doesn't really matter what it is, but then you get back on the machine for the next round and you don't reset your rower. So let's say the rowing target is 20 calories per round. You get to 20 calories, you start doing the other stuff, you're moving around, you get back on the machine. Just because the fan or the flywheel is kept ticking over after you've got off, it's already registering your next calorie. So then your first pull of the next round gives you a calorie. And it's like falsifying your effort. Whereas if I was to start from zero to pull, if I do one pull, I'm not getting a calorie. So you're cheating.
Okay.
By not resetting the monitor, if that makes sense. So when you get off or when you get back on, you need to reset the monitor so it's back at zero. So your true effort gives you 1 calorie rather than just pulling. Try it when you're next in the
Because I typically, if I'm doing a workout like that, I will keep going until I see the number. I don't stop at 19.
No. That's not the problem. Like, you will hit 20, but once you've hit 20, even when you're off, the fan's still going. So it's still registering that you're rowing, even though you're not.
But have I not put that energy in? So next round,
I see what you're saying.
20 on average.
No.
Okay, not
that's
allowed.
the loophole.
Not allowed. Okay.
And it's also just like it's age-old CrossFit gym etiquette. So yeah, it's just it's bad etiquette. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
It's given me another one as well.
I'm gonna come in with a quick one that definitely needs mentioning. I don't think the person that you'll obviously know who I'm talking about will listen to this episode. If they do, I'm so sorry, but it definitely needed bringing up. Wearing gloves in Hyrox.
Oh. No comment.
Wearing gloves in Hyrox, you know what? Like, I kind of get it. I'm sure it can improve. I would also argue that if, again, everyone can do the weights in Hyrox, maybe it just needs a little bit more practice. But what is not allowed is wearing gloves in Hyrox and then being bad at the thing you're wearing gloves for anyway. Like, still, like, I'm fortunate enough to be sat here and say that I have done the Farmer's Carry Pro weight, 32 kilos, unbroken.
All right.
I certainly have not worn gloves and still not been able to do it to the point where they like fall out of my hand. That shouldn't be allowed.
Do you reckon the gloves were actually detrimental?
No.
All right. You're putting me in a tough spot here.
I know I'm putting you in a tough spot. You don't have to comment.
I'm not gonna.
Cool. But what I would say is I think Hyrox should introduce a rule. If you choose to wear gloves and you fail the exercise, in such a manner, instant disqualification.
They were color coordinated to his shorts, though.
They were. I don't think that saves the fact. If anything, that drew more attention and draw. And you've planned the outfit so far that you haven't planned the grip.
If it was such a benefit to your performance, everyone would be wearing gloves.
I actually think more people would if it hadn't just been shat on so much.
Yeah. I just have like an inherent hatred for gloves in the gym anyway.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, anyway, we
Maybe let's leave it there.
we'll leave it there. We're going to move on to the sort of last part, which is a quick one before we get into the game. I want to know, in your opinion, when should you quit on a workout? When should you actually quit? We're not just being like, oh, you should never quit. Not some motivational bullshit. When should you stop? In the sim, if you're going too hard, if you're in the actual race, if you're in just a session that has been programmed or you've planned for yourself.
This is so subjective and it's such a personal thing, and it has so much to do with your mental capacity and current state, and also your physical. And it's always going to be different on any different day. And you'll be able to relate to this, where you go to the gym and you're doing a hard workout and you're like, I can't do the paces, I can't do the reps unbroken, I'm not doing the weights that I want to do, and this is just like really shit. Do I just stop because this isn't worth it? You can argue it so many different ways. It's like, do I stop because mentally I just don't want to be here and want to give myself the break? That could be a good justification. Should I stop because if I keep going, I might end up hurting myself because I'm not concentrating and I might do something stupid which could cause injury? That's another thing to think about. Do I feel this way because my body's hurting in a certain way, and as a result of it hurting could cause injury? So it's like, it's such a gray area. It's so difficult for me to like go, yeah, at this point you should stop. But what I do is I use examples from like members in my class when they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today, or this is really sore, my elbow hurts or my back hurts, and I might just try and push through it anyway. If they say that to me, I'm like, it's not worth it, you're going to stop, or we're going to modify the workout, we're going to do something different, or the fact that you're here is fantastic, you're doing a really good job, why don't you just do something super low skill, jump on the bike, spin your legs, get a bit sweaty, feel better about yourself, and then leave. So there's lots of different layers to it. And for me, I don't want to go down the whole David Goggins, like, you got to keep pushing the whole time, you should never quit, because I don't believe in that at all. I think there is a time and a place. If you're in the sim and you're pushing really hard and you're like, mentally, this is really difficult, that's not the time to quit. That's why you're there. Same in a race. There's never really a point in a race where you should go, this is hurting so much, I need to stop. Like, it's meant to be difficult. You're there to push yourself to do a difficult thing. But if you're in a race and you're like limping because you ruptured your Achilles, maybe that's the time to stop.
Yeah, I think one of the most noticeable things about experienced athletes is their understanding of quitting. And I used to think this when I was younger and like really motivated. I was able to see progress in pretty much every session I did because I was so new to different forms of training that I thought, I see these people going into sessions and they like go in saying they're going to do one thing and they come out having absolutely not done that. Like, that could never be me. Actually, I couldn't be more proud of the fact that is me. Yeah. Like, I hold myself very accountable to not quitting things for various reasons, but that doesn't mean I don't change the outcome.
Sure.
And as a prime example, and the reason this sort of came up is I had a really tough session last week that on paper was super easy.
Yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be a reintroduction to some of the movements in Hyrox, and I really struggled. And I was talking to someone else about this, and they said they don't come from the Hyrox space. And they said to me, yeah, but like, surely you should have just stopped. Like, when do you decide when to stop?
Yeah.
And my argument was, okay, so as an example, this workout was a series of movements that needed to be done within an amount of time frame that considered rest. First 2 rounds, I was like, this is fine. I was getting about a minute's rest. That's what it was designed for. And then the third round came along and I was like, wow, okay, this is tougher, but let me just eat into some of that rest.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a slightly easier round and we'll come back. I was intending to do 6 rounds, so I wasn't even halfway at this point. I then got to the end of that round, including the rest, and I'd had maybe 20 seconds rest instead of the minute. And immediately I was like, that wasn't enough rest.
Yeah.
am I going to have another slow round? And I was like, actually, this whole thing is going to become a slog. And what was really annoying about that was, as I said, it was intended to be quite easy. There were certain tough elements, but the weight of everything was either the open weight or lighter than what I'm used to training.
Sometimes it just feels like that.
So it got to a point, and I actually had to sit down where I gave myself an extra 2 minutes rest out of the workout, where I just sat there and I was like, look, am I going to walk away from this? If I walk away from it now after round 4, do I physically recover and do something different tomorrow and I move on? Or am I mentally going to beat myself up that tomorrow's workout actually becomes such a chore? And I hate that one as well. And so I bargained with myself and said, look, you can just have a minute from whenever you finish the exercises. Just do the exercises as well as you can and then finish the workout. And in the end, looking back on the splits of everything, I didn't even do that far off the original goal, maybe 15, 20 seconds per round longer. But the thought process of, do I quit and what's the benefit physically versus mentally, was something that I was able to understand and account for myself. And I think that's one scenario where it came into that. There's other times where I've been doing running intervals and I'm like, God, I can't keep going. And prime example was actually literally a couple of nights ago. So in the last effort, and I was pushing, and I was like, it's my last effort. I don't normally want to push too hard to destroy the stimulus of the workout, but I'm going to push a little bit, see what is there. And then I had someone come along next to me and they were pushing and they must have put about 2 meters in front of me. And I was like, I'm not going to let them go. Like, okay, let's race. And I looked and I was like, I've got 55 seconds left. I don't think I can hold that. And then there was the classic thing coming back in the head of like, I can hold something for a minute. Like, come on. And then you get through it. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I did that. And in reality, I was still performing above what I could, but then I had to make this decision of like, do I quit on this level that I think I can hold? And it's this sort of back and forth, but absolutely pretty much every session I go into comes with a slightly different outcome, whether that's I've actually pushed myself harder or I've tailed off. And that's purely from being in those situations so much that and I think there isn't a blanket statement. So I'm glad you didn't say like one thing for all things.
Quit now.
Every scenario is different and you only learn from yourself. What I personally still believe, and in 2 years time I might look back and say, yeah, that's not right, is I never like to walk away from a workout on the dot. I always will do something else. If I go into a session and like things are really hurting, I'm super fatigued, I'm not getting much out of strength, I'm not getting much out of the conditioning side of things, then I'll just have an easy session where I sit on a bike for a bit, sit on a rowing machine, because at least I'm doing something, I'm getting a bit of a sweat on. There's going to be some benefit to my health from that, as long as I'm not doing anything too taxing. And mentally, I'll step away from and be like, I still did something today.
It's hard, isn't it, when you're like inherently competitive with yourself and other people, but when you're training by yourself, it's difficult to go, I'm just not going to do this, because naturally it starts to like, you kind of get negative connotations away from that. And like, I truly do believe, and it's really interesting hearing you talk like that, I do believe that you get so much mental benefit from not quitting. And like, if you are super easy with yourself and you go, yeah, I don't need to do that today, or I'm not going to do it, I'll just walk away, like you start to build up this, like, I don't know how to explain it other than like, you allow yourself to quit easily. So then when you are put in a situation which is difficult, let's say you're in the race situation, you go, I just don't need to push that hard actually. Or you don't have the ability to really hold yourself accountable to be able to push hard. So much of this comes down to your mental capacity more really than your physical. You do need to be sensible though. If your body isn't feeling 100%, you've got to regulate the intensity. So every time I go into the gym, I have kind of like I take a mental and physical, both are out of 5, combine them together, so I get a score out of 10. And it's always subjective because I always feel different based off how I slept, how I've eaten, just mentally how I'm at that point. But if I'm under a 5, then I'm typically going to regulate my intensity. I'm probably not going to lift as heavy, and like you said, I might just spin my legs on the bike. If I'm closer to a 9 or a 10, then I'm going to push really hard. So I have set sessions across the week, but I do the certain intensities on the day that match me. So yeah, maybe it says on this day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, these are my days, but I might do Saturday's workout on Tuesday because I feel way better on Tuesday and I don't want to kind of predict how I feel on Saturday, because I might get to Saturday, I might feel like shit, and then I don't want to do that session. So it's like just being sensible with your training. That does come with time and intuition and experience with actual
I really like
training.
that 5+5 thing.
Yeah.
I've not done that, but I quite like the approach of that, so I might take that in
But
myself.
it is super subjective, but it's always going to be subjective. And that's why sometimes, and I had this debate with someone the other day, when you're doing percentage loading for strength work, if you go into the gym and it's 5 sets of 5 at 70%, whatever the movement is, doesn't matter. You're like, that 70% for me is set in stone. And I know I'm so competitive that it doesn't matter how I feel, I'm going to try and do that 70%, even though it might be detrimental. And it's at the point where you go in, you're like, I'm sore, I'm tired, I don't want to be here. Mentally, I'm just not with it. You try and hit 70%, and that's when you hurt yourself. So rather, that 70% becomes an RPE, relative perceived effort. Now it's 7 out of 10.
That's what I was going to say.
7 out of 10 is relative to how I feel that day, which could be 20% lighter than my actual 70%, but it feels like a 7 out of 10 effort. And I know it's super subjective and it's not as effective for efficient strength training, but it's a really solid way of actually getting the most out of your training in a sensible way.
I did wonder when you said that it was out of 10 if it was going to be related to an RPE scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, I really like that. Now, before we move into the game, I just want to highlight the fact that a lot of these topics that we end up talking about and the grind my gears, that sort of thing, as you will have heard, especially in this episode, come from you guys that are listening. So if you do want to be involved, we absolutely love having you as part of it. It helps us out also with making sure we're talking about the right thing. So at MindSets_podcast is where to find the podcast page on things like Instagram, TikTok, also on YouTube. Some of you will actually be watching this now, so have a wave, hello. But then you can also do things, reposting some of our social media posts would be really handy. But feel free to absolutely slide into our DMs and give us some more information. We absolutely love having you involved. Now, the next thing that you can be involved in is play along with this game.
This is definitely a play along one.
Okay, cool. Apparently I'm going to be good at this, so I'm looking forward to it this week.
Yeah, so for today, you've got the job of guessing how much it costs.
I'm so good at that.
So
I
I've
love
got
that game.
a variety of different things, different equipment across different sports. And Angus's job is going to be to guess how much they cost. Now, I'm going to give you my phone. That's where the photos of the items are.
Right.
You can zoom in. You can do whatever you want onto the photos.
Okay.
But we're going to start one by one. So I'm going to give you this. I've got all of the information on the products in my notebook. So have a little look at that.
So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I will do you a solid and I'll put the photo of what I'm seeing on here. Those of you that are listening, I have a bike. It is cream colored. It is seemingly a road bike.
Incorrect.
Okay, it's...
Would you like the details?
Yeah, please give me the details.
This is a gravel bike. It's made by a brand called Envy, and the model is a MOG, M-O-G. So looking at that bike, you can do whatever detective work you would like to figure out how expensive it is.
I have one immediate question.
Okay.
Does the price of the bike include the pedals? Because there aren't any pedals in this photo.
No.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, when you buy a nice bike, you actually don't get pedals with it.
That's crazy.
No, it's not crazy because the pedals will be dictated by the type of cleats you wear and the shoes you have. So
The bike's got single speed front gear system. That's interesting. Does it not?
well, yeah, it's a one by. It's a gravel bike.
I didn't know that gravel bikes had that as standard.
The untrained
It's
are.
got double disc brakes. It's pretty standard for high level bikes.
So you think it's a?
There's no brand. First of all, like I would have said if there was a brand that's visible, but I can't.
You think it's a high level bike?
It could be, for as far as I'm aware. It has Pirelli tires.
Nice.
That's very Formula One.
Yeah. He's doing the good stuff.
The whole, I'm trying to see circulator. I'm trying to see if they're inner tube, no inner tube. Can't really tell. Bikes are expensive, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the whole thing with the wheel, everything I'm looking at right now.
You get all of that.
All of that. Let's shoot for 3,799.
3,799.
Yeah.
I was going to be really disappointed if you were close.
Okay.
Yeah, that bike cost 11 grand.
Oh my word, that's crazy.
Yeah, 11 grand.
Okay, 11 grand.
I think if the bike doesn't have a brand on it, that's when you know it's going to start to get
I didn't know if this was a doctored image.
Yeah.
Because that, like, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, wow.
11 grand, slightly off. You're going to swipe across.
Okay.
Now, the next image.
Oh, okay.
This is nice for you. So this is an NFL American football. You can buy this online. This one is allegedly the standard that you'd play with in the actual NFL.
See, what's interesting is I should be able to give you an exact price for this, but
Yeah.
inflation's happened since I bought one.
Do you know, I bought one because
Can I ask a question though? Did you buy and is this a real leather?
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
So I bought one because I wanted one to chuck around, and I was like, well, I'll just get an American football, and I want the one that they play with in the NFL. I was shooketh at how expensive it was.
It is surprising.
Yeah.
Although as long as the number I'm saying is correct,
Yeah.
I'll get onto that. So I have bought one of these previously from a website called Football America in the UK, which imports everything. And I got it for, I believe I paid £120 for it. What did you see it as recently?
So that's your guess.
That's my guess.
115.
115.
That's
Okay.
very good. Yeah.
Cool.
Well done.
So I'm glad because when I did my aerodynamics final year master's project in aerodynamics at uni Flex, I got
Now a podcast host.
I got a budget to go and buy a ball,
Oh, nice.
which I didn't use for the project. I just got a ball out of it.
The budget was like 30 quid.
No, the budget was up to £200 per student, but no one used it. So I was like, I'm using it.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, if Loughborough University is listening to this, that didn't happen. I also got a college one.
Okay,
So I actually overspent my budget.
Oh, cool.
Because that was also 120 quid. But yeah, they are expensive. But if you actually look at like soccer footballs, if you buy one of the new ones from Nike, you'll notice that the cheap ones used to be like 10 quid, but probably now like 20, 25. And then you can buy the nice ones are like 60, 70. The actual Premier League standard ones are like 150 to 160.
Wow.
It's mad.
Yeah.
But there is also a noticeable difference in how they react.
Don't they have like sensors in the balls?
They've started to put sensors in.
Game balls.
Wilson have started doing some balls which have got sensors in as well because they're hoping to bring in loads of like
More data.
more data, which again, sneak peek from my master's project, actually doesn't really matter too much how much the ball spins, that sort of thing. If you can see that it's shit by the way it is thrown, it's shit.
Yeah.
Knowing the difference between the ball rotating 2 or 3 more times per minute makes no difference. Anyway, we're now sticking on the Wilson train.
We are, yeah. So this is a Wilson Impact 99 badminton racket.
Okay. For those of you again that are looking on YouTube, this looks like a pretty generic racket. I don't see anything fancy like carbon. I didn't know if that had come into the sport yet. I'm going to go ahead and say it's aluminium racket. Wilson's a well-known brand. Nothing crazy about the grip here. We've not got like Bryson DeChambeau thick grips. Can I ask a question?
Please.
What was the site that you got the price of this from?
No.
Oh, okay. That's tough. Because if it's like, it could be Sports Direct, it could be Wilson's direct site. This could be like an elite one. What was the name of it?
The Impact 99.
Impact 99. That sounds budget. That sounds like a 99 flake. I'm going to go ahead and say this cost $39.99.
39.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's like? Probably the average price from the site that I was looking at.
Okay.
This costs £15.
Oh.
And your detective work was very impressive because it's from Sports Direct.
Okay.
15 quid. And yeah, it's the name does give it away, but yeah, it's one of their budget rackets. But
Yeah.
for 15 quid, you can't go wrong with that.
No,
I want to
that's
get
solid.
to badminton. That's so solid.
For sure. And it's one of those where like that quite easily could have been 150 quid.
I like the fact that, you know, for most sports now, it's the barrier to entry is horrible. But if you want to just go and freaking hit a shuttlecock and play badminton,
So true.
it's so good from sports.
I love badminton.
Yeah,
we should play
great
badminton. Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Right.
Let me talk you through these. These are the Nike Mercurial Vapor 16 Elites. So it's a football boot or a soccer shoe, whatever you want to call it. The special thing with these, I don't know if you'll be able to tell from the pattern on the outside, it's a collab with Air Max 95.
So I was going to say, there was definitely that
It's a pretty
element in there.
special shoe.
So honestly,
For a football boot.
so I was going to say the name needs work because the name is like when you're trying to hit the word count.
Yeah.
It's a bit long.
Too long.
But I kind of also get it because it's this collaboration and you can kind of see that in the waves that are along the side, but also where there's a slight detail going up to the laces. I like that. I appreciate that.
That's a great shoe.
This is going to be a one release of a kind. I don't want to say a one of a kind necessarily, but this is the sort of thing that I would expect to find on StockX or similar sites. And therefore, I'm going to bump the price a bit. I would say for a good Nike football boot, you'd probably be paying close to 200 quid. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one maybe is 1,000-ish.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, that retails on Nike for $275.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
so it's not a collector's item yet.
No,
Okay, fair
because
enough.
it's like it's a collab with 95, but it's not like
It's still internal.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But like I like your thought process was good.
Okay, have we got more?
Of course, yeah.
Amazing.
So
Oh my word. Okay.
Lewis Hamilton's F1 Ferrari. It's his current car that he drives.
All in.
Yeah.
So I know I had an interesting fact that I learned about 10 years ago. So again, could be quite well outdated with the price, but the steering wheel of these things alone is about 50 grand.
Yep.
The next thing to consider is that so much of that car is carbon fiber. That's not cheap.
The main issue here is that there's obviously it's like you can't buy it, so there's no price.
Yeah, of course.
So the price that I've got is I took a couple of different numbers from different sites of people speculating how much one of his cars would cost.
Okay.
I've kind of got an average number across the lowest price point to what people speculate to be the highest price point.
Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to say the powertrain alone, so the engine and the sort of drive it and everything like that, I'm going to say that comes to probably around 8 mil. Tires, I mean, if we just consider it as 4 on a car, let's say like 100 grand for those.
For the tires.
Crazy. Well, you know, a Bugatti Veyron, they only last 16,000 miles, the tires at max, and they cost 16 grand each.
Yeah, and these last a couple of laps.
Yeah.
You've gone 100k for 4 tires.
Yeah.
All right, let's rack it up.
Well, I mean, this could end. I mean, that,
then
you're making it sound expensive.
50k for the steering wheel.
For everything
I
else.
make it sound expensive. 100k for 4 pieces of rubber.
So I'm gonna.
No
go
way.
and
That's how
say-
much tires cost.
I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, I'd be really interested.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say this whole thing, all in, not including Lewis,
Yeah, you can't buy Lewis.
is 48 mil.
Ooh, he shot high. So the highest estimate that I saw was 20 mil,
Oh, really? Okay.
but the average I averaged out to 16 million,
Okay.
which is shocking to think that when they crash it, they just have to rebuild it.
See, do you know what's really annoying and very engineering of me is to think I was kind of factoring in something that I really shouldn't have factored in for the way we're playing this game, which is I was thinking about the amount of time investment from all the engineers and like all of that. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 million is understandable. And that's why you can also understand why
They get upset when they crash.
so upset when they crash. And it's so like I hate it and love it when a driver goes, sorry guys, as soon as they hit the wall.
Yeah.
Because like you have to say it, but also you don't really care.
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah. Okay, next we have
This is and just fun fact. Ryan, owner of E1, the gym I work at.
Yeah.
He's just started sponsoring the local hockey team.
I
Whopping
love
Hockey
that so
Club.
much. Yeah.
And it's on their shirt, and we really want to get these Whopping Hockey Club shirts. But I said to Ryan, I was like, why couldn't you have like sponsored something like an F1 team?
Yeah.
Why don't we get the E1 F1 team? Maybe not in budget, but that would be sweet. So this is the SAW ultralight race vest. Now, this piece of material costs. No, it doesn't cost. That'll give us
Yeah, that's the ruining the game.
Yeah. This weighs 44 grams.
44 grams.
So it does look nice.
Do you know what? That doesn't mean much to me because I've never really thought about how much anything I wear weighs too much, apart from like nice, stylish,
That's the
baggy
difference
t-shirts.
between you and Mo Farah then.
That is 100%. It's not even skin tight, and it's hideous.
No, that is cool.
I don't know. Kind of looks like something out of the 70s.
Yeah.
On a dance floor.
But just bearing in mind, all that is a running vest.
Yeah,
Like a thin
but
piece
that
of
actually
material.
makes it more expensive because that is all it is.
Nice.
So
I knew you'd be good at this
I'm
game.
sure that sounds expensive. The colors in there, they're going to make it seem like it wasn't just plastic printed. I think this vest alone, $45.99.
90 quid.
Oh my word.
And do you know why I had to put this in? Because when I ran my 10K the other day, I didn't have a vest that fit me anymore. And I went online to buy a vest. And I'm like, I'm a fashionable guy. I'll go to SAW. I'll go to Satisfy. I'll go to... I was like shocked. 90 quid. I thought Nike were expensive. That Airy Swift vest, 70 quid. 70 quid for a vest. 90 quid for a vest. There's vests. There was a vest, 150 quid.
Clothes should not be approaching drug prices. £2 a gram is what we're talking there. 44 grams. I mean, I don't really know drug prices. I imagine it's far more than £2 per gram. I imagine it's far more than £2 a gram, but £2 a gram for
Wild, isn't it?
for something that, like I said, I'm not particularly drawn to is mental.
You are buying the brand though at that point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no way you're buying performance out of that. When I said it's not even skin tight or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just light. Okay, next. Ooh,
Okay, so you've got here a set from 4 iron down to pitching wedge.
okay,
So
right,
you're getting 7 irons. But this is the Mizuno
down to pitching edge. Only so
4 to pitch. Yeah.
so no sand wedges or any other way. Okay, cool.
This guy knows nothing about golf.
No, I do. I just wanted to confirm.
You buy your wedges separately.
Yeah.
So these are the Mizuno Pro S1 irons. I thought they were called MP4s, but the website told me S1s, so I don't know. But that's like a nice forged blade.
So for those that don't know about golf, forged is good. Is to put it basically.
Nice.
Mizuno historically makes some of the nicest clubs. I believe they're Japanese.
That's a great set of irons if you can have those.
Yeah, I was going to say these are real nice. Hard to hit, but real nice.
Very hard to hit. I've actually hit MP4s before, and it's just not the one.
Yeah. Until you find the one spot, and it's everything.
Cavity back.
Yeah. It's tough. Irons can be incredibly expensive for a set, and I'm going to say that these are definitely towards the top end. $899.99.
$899.99. No.
More.
Yeah.
One. Can I have another guess?
Yeah, please.
$1,469.99.
So specific.
Yeah.
1379.
Car.
Yeah. It's expensive for a set of golf clubs.
It's a lot, but do you know what?
a good
That
set.
separates the average 25 handicap from being scratch, as I've discovered in everyone's purchases.
Yeah.
It's not there.
No,
the golf clubs.
yeah, for sure. And that's before, when you think about getting a set of clubs, you'd then
Fitted.
you'd have different shafts. Maybe you'd change the club head angle. You'd change the grips. You might have a thicker grip, a thinner grip. So it all in, it's probably like 2K for just 7 clubs. And then you need 2 more wedges. Probably you need a putter. You then need a driver, maybe a hybrid, or it's a expensive sport.
Do you know what I also find funny as well is you can look up a YouTube video right now that will be, can this Tour Pro go under par with a set of Slazengers from Sports Right? And they do.
Yeah.
So like realistically,
It doesn't make that much.
not that much difference.
So that's really, and we already mentioned Bryson DeChambeau. I'm actually a really big fan of his. His YouTube channel is really good. If you're not into golf, but would maybe like to or want to just watch some golf, his channel is really good.
Yeah.
And he plays with another YouTuber called Grant Horvath, and Grant's like a really good amateur. But the difference between a high level, like a college golfer, and Bryson, who's a Tour Pro, is amazing. And sometimes I'll do like, ask ChatGPT, what club should Bryson hit? And he'll hit like a putter off the tee and still win the hole.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. We've now got some jorts.
No, Angus, these aren't any jorts. These are called the Satisfy Pace Shell 5-inch
shell. Piece shell.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
piece
wrote
shell.
that wrong. My research has failed me.
Suddenly
The
they're
piece shell,
hippie, not running.
5-inch fake denim shorts. So that's like a
I
running
can
short.
see the print. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say, 5-inch is the golden standard within men's shorts.
I think I bought a set.
Sorry. So
Always dangerous to be on
Always
my
dangerous.
camera roll.
so
I think I bought a pair that's smaller that I might debut at Threshold Friday, but I don't know if that's too short.
if that's not a reason for people to come down, maybe wear them to the
But they're like slit right to the waistband as well, so there's going to be.
Do these
a lot
have
of
a
skin.
slit on the side?
They do, but not that high. I saw these. I don't often go shopping, but I went shopping the other day and I saw these in a shop and I thought they were so cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and say, purely based off what they are, they're still running shorts, everything like that, I'm going to match the exact price of the vest.
Really?
Yeah.
Then, therefore, not understanding Satisfy as a brand, as a running brand. These are 220 quid.
Oh my.
Do you know how small of a material that is? For a set of
£220.
Do you know, I was really considering them for Hyrox.
That would be sick. Have you seen the guy Truett Haynes?
Yeah.
Truett Haynes?
Yeah.
He's actually running marathons in jeans.
Yeah.
But maybe they're just satisfy.
You could. There's a brand called Born Primitive, an American brand that's deeply embedded in CrossFit, and they make like functional jorts, which are stretchy, which aren't cool but kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, I will not be buying those.
Right, we've got one more.
Okay, here we go.
These are the On Cloud Boom Strikes. There's a special name for them. They're like the slip-ons or something.
Yeah, these are
A weird shoe.
I believe these are a bit of a PR stunt shoe
Never.
because there's
makes
the
you think that?
crazy videos of them being sprayed onto the foot, like molded, which is really cool. Essentially, they are a sock with a carbon plate on the bottom. I grind my gears, by the way. There are some YouTubers that have got On deals that are wearing carbon plates in all their shoes, and they're just like walking around. KSI. Don't want to at the bloke, but
I saw
Come
some
on.
guy crossing the road yesterday
Sorry,
wearing
Owen.
Alpha Flies, and he just was not going running.
no. Okay, so these are expensive.
Yeah.
They're at the forefront of technology. I reckon these are £380.99.
He's pretty good. They're 309.
Okay, I thought they'd actually have gone up in price because I didn't know if they were still making
But
them.
puts into perspective that pair of shorts.
Yeah.
Like you could get those shoes for basically the same price. Now,
These might actually help you go a bit quicker.
Yeah. What I was playing, I was gonna ask did you see the Adidas? I can't remember what they are. They're like the one-use shoe.
Yes, yeah.
They kind of like disintegrate across the race. I was gonna ask you about those, the Adidas ones. They're like 500 quid or something, but I thought that was maybe
Well, for something for you and for the listeners to go and have a look at, ASICS have just had 2 pairs of shoes approved by whoever runs the rules in running.
Yeah.
And they look weird. So
yeah.
they must be doing something.
Some of the carbon shoes, like the top Puma ones, they look a bit funky. They've got like split sole and then like a pointy thing on the front. They look like a whale.
I think people are having a lot of fun at the moment with running shoes and playing with the legality of it.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that.
Hayden Wild, the triathlete, got called out for wearing a shoe that was illegal by accident or something like that. Anyway, I don't know the details, but yeah, it's a weird.
I enjoyed that game. I might have to return that one back to you. If you guys enjoyed that, I will happily do that. Leave your suggestions if you want us to do other games, or if you've got things that maybe Charles should guess the cost of. Let us know in the comments down below. If you're not already subscribed, it would be massively appreciated. And then going into the back end of this year, which is quite weird to say.
It's actually mental.
Going into the back end of this year, if you have ideas for what we can do going into the new year, then give us a shout on those. It's an opportunity for us to change some bits if we should. I'm enjoying it as it is, but I'm always open to new ideas. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all join us for this episode again. Charles, is there anything else from you?
I've got nothing.
Okay, in which case, we look forward to seeing you all in the next episode.
With